So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZW Games 5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's the YouTube? Day from Z4 Games bringing you, as promised, Full Power Shaddolls. Now, this is different to anything you may have seen online. Some people are going with the invoked version, some people are going with a more trick clown or perform age kind of engine as well. I have gone for a go second, break the board, set up a stun board and protection board, and then win the game from there. How, you ask? Well, I will show you as we go through this profile. I've also tried to keep it on a budget, and the cards in here that aren't on budget, I'll tell you what you can take them out for. Without further ado, let's take you through. Also, before we get started, awesomely, Konami just announced we got a brand new Shadoll card coming in the brand new set. Not Eternity Code, but the one after that, where it basically lets you fusion summon from the graveyard or your hand by banishing the materials, and it is a trap card, so kind of nice to get more of your stun cards going in. Starting off, we've got two of the brand new Shadoll Windy. This, in my opinion, is the best new card that we received from the structure deck. What makes this so good is both its flip effect and send effect special summons a Shadoll from your deck in face up or face down defense position. Really, really cool card. Best one about it, and that's why we play it at 2. I play all the Shadoll cards at 2 because they're all flip effects, so you only want to be abusing their send effects in this version, and by abusing their send effects, what you do is you then get to extend your board a little bit further, move into higher link plays, set up a defensive play as well, and then allows you kind of move further forward from there, and I'll show you how you do that as we go through. We'll then play double Falco just to be able to reset itself or any other Shadoll when it's flipped. Double Hedgehog, again, more for its send effect to search out any Shadoll monster. And a double Squamata, again, for an additional Foolish Burial of any monster in your deck, or Shadoll card in your deck. Then for the one-offs, we've got the one Nail Shadoll Aerial. Now, this card is really, the play you want to do is you want to be doing this during your opponent's turn. You can do it during your turn because you're going second, but it's more of your defensive play, because the idea is that you would send this, banish from your opponent's graveyard. If you do it during your turn, you want to be stopping their advantage of regaining their board presence the next turn. If you do it during their turn, so if it's a first turn play, you're doing it to disrupt their plays as well. So if it's sent to the graveyard, you banish up to 3 cards from either player's graveyard. So you want to be able to rip away their rescues, their master plans, their spinnies, anything like that. Miscellaneous Sauruses as well. We've then got the one dragon. We are going second. Its effect is a hard once per turn. You could put it 2 if you want, but the idea is you send this and then like your other Shadoll card or your El Shadoll Windy, send this, pop a back row, get a summon, and then you get to extend from there on. We've then got the one Shadoll Beast of purely just being able to go flip, draw 2, send, flip, draw 2 cards, then discard 1, or send, draw 1. So it gives you a bit of extension. For our main normal summon in the deck is Mathematician. Now, this is really the only main normal summon you want and you have. The thing about this is, with the Shaddolls, 9 out of 10, you're only going to want to normal summon them if they're a beta. Everything else, like I said, you want to get as either the draw fodder for Allure of Darkness, or you want to use it as send fodder. So Mathematician is a nice normal summon, not to mention it is a Earth attribute for Shekhanaga. It's probably the best normal summon in the deck. You could put in one Armageddonite if you wanted to as well, but we've got enough darks to play around with it, so that's where I've kind of looked at it this way. And then finally, we've got the one Perform Age Trick Clown. Like I said, you can bump this up to have a Damage Juggler and a Hat Tricker if you want, but this is just for, again, Shadoll Fusion. Send this and a Shadoll card from your deck to the graveyard, or Shadoll monster, sorry. Special summon this by paying 1,000 life points. It lets you extend your board a little bit further. Now, what you want to be doing is you want to be using the first Shadoll summon to either bait something out or break your opponent's board with Super Poly, and I'll get to that in a minute. You then want to use that card once it's done its job of breaking the board or baiting something out, as long as it's on the board. Use it as link fodder material to go into something like Cloth Eat. That then allows you to then use your Shadoll Fusion or your Super Poly, whichever one you haven't used first, to go into a card, trigger off Cloth Eat, bring one back. Cloth Eat can then go into a link free, and you get to extend your board further from there as well. Now, the best thing about this deck and what makes it really, really good and powerful is the 4 Kaijus. Now, we're playing 1 Gameciel, 1 Kumongus, 1 Dogoran, and 1 Thunder King. Now, as you can see, they're all different attributes. So the best thing about this, with Super Poly being at 3, is you Kaiju your opponent's monster. So let's take into account the God board of Spirals. Trigate, Appaloosa, plus Sleeper. So what you can do is you can actually Kaiju the Appaloosa, so you get to maintain your monster effects, and straight away shuts off the Tri-Gate co-linked effect. You then Super Poly using your opponent's sleeper and one of your Shadoll cards in hand or on field to make your construct. Alternatively, you can use the Kaiju you give your opponent. So it does allow you to open up the board for a little bit more play, in the sense that you could actually use Dogoran to go into Grista, Kamungus to go into Shekanaga, Kamasil to go into Anantelis, and obviously Thunder King to go into your construct. If you want to go more for Windy, you can put the Dark Kaiju Raijin in as well, but that again comes down to your personal preference. Kaijus right now I think are incredibly important and incredibly powerful. Normally people are expecting them to be mained, and the reason I've built this deck going second is purely because I've got more of a percentage or a chance rating of being able to choose and be put into my favoured position of the deck. Now if I lose a dice roll, there's probably about a 10% chance that my opponent is also playing an OTK deck and they're going to make me go first. The game is a go first, break my board format, so what you want to be able to do is go, if I win or lose a dice roll, I'm going second and I'm going to attempt to break my opponent's board. And that's exactly what this deck can do, and it's exactly why this deck is so good. Moving on to the hand traps, we've got double Droll and Lockbird, double DD Crow, and double Ash Blossom. Now, not only can these be used for Winder and Grista, but you can also search these two out should you go first. So a going first tech that I advise people to side in is Subterra Succession. The reason this works so good is you can actually send a Windy from your hand and search out Droll and Lockbird. Vice versa, you can send a Droll and Lockbird and search out a Windy. You can search out any Shadoll monster, or you can search out DD Crow as well. Less so with the Ash Blossom, but it can be done if you have a Flip Fire in the deck. Annoyingly, Shadolls didn't get a Flip Fire, but the Ash is in there for the generacy. The Crow and DD Crow, Droll and Lockbird, sorry, and Crow are there just because of how successful they are against the meta. If you wanted to, you could take these out and side in something more consistent against the Rogue and the full matchups, and then side these in when you put in Succession go in first. Moving on to the spells, we've got triple Super Poly. Use it and abuse it while it is still at free. In a deck like Shaddolls, it's actually incredibly powerful, purely because it just requires one attribute and a Shadoll monster. 9 out of 10, you're going to have a Shadoll monster there. Your opponent is going to provide you with the other attribute that you need in order to make the fusion summon. So being able to Super Poly, yes, is a bit of a downgrade because you're not taking 2 of their cards, but the consistency level rises up massively. Again, let's take into account an Appaloosa board with, of course, a Tri-Gate and a Sleeper. Now, I believe Tri-Gate is an Earth, so that is a Shekanaga target. Sleeper is a Light, which means it is a Construct target. Straight away, you can go straight into Construct, get rid of the Sleeper, which is probably going to be one of the biggest disruptions of your board. They can't respond with Tri-Gate on Super Poly, so that's already a major plus. Then being able to go into Construct to pull apart the Tri-Gate board, or of course the Appaloosa should you need it, is always going to be incredibly powerful and useful. Not to mention, you haven't used your normal summon, and you still have the El Shadoll or the Shadoll fusion should you need it, because they have monsters from the extra deck. Especially with Appaloosa giving you an extra zone, you can Super Poly to one zone and then go into a Shadoll play. Now obviously when you mix a Kaiju into that matter, you get rid of the Appaloosa, break the Tri-Gate already, take this Sleeper into a Super Poly and go from there. So you could arguably Super Poly first, then Kaiju, then Shadoll Fusion. And your board has gone from nothing to a Construct plus any Shadoll monster you want, and you've ripped away an Appaloosa, a Tri-Gate effect, and a Sleeper. Very, very powerful, very, very consistent. We're going second, so might as well use the best fusion card ever created. No, so Super Poly is probably the best one. But Shadoll Fusion, the thing that makes it so good is you can send from deck. So it's a bit of a brick going first, so I'd probably drop this down to 2 if you when you're going first. It's one of the cards that I would personally side out. But going second, 9 out of 10, people are ending on a monster from the extra deck. So being able to play Shadoll Fusion is a 1 card double send. And the best thing about this is if you send something like Beast, you just recoup the card you lost anyway. If you send Dragon, you're popping a back row. You're 9 out of 10 sending 2. If you send Windy and Falco, again, this is just to extend your board. Windy will give you a Shadoll monster from deck. Falco will reset itself as a defensive play for the next turn. That then means if you Shadoll Fusion, plus let's say you Super Polyed and broken the board up a little bit, you will have 2 fusion monsters on board plus an additional Shadoll monster. If you've done very, very well with stuff like Trick Clown, or you send Trick Clown off to Shadoll Fusion, you can go into Clothie, Clothie can bring one back, and you get to extend your board a little bit further. And before you know it, you're in a board of Construct plus a Boral Sword, and you haven't had to do a lot of work, and you've pulled a board apart. Moving into the draw cards of the deck, we've got triple Allure of Darkness. Like I said, you only want to be using your Shaddolls monsters as fodder for the fusion, summon with Super Poly, or as draw fodder. You don't really want a majority of them in your hand. You want to be sending them from your deck to the graveyard as consistently and easily as possible. So being able to play Allure of Darkness to get into your Super Poly, to get into your Kaijus, is always going to be a plus. If you want to, and you have the budget, and you have the money, you could arguably put in Extravagance, because most of your extra deck is 2-offs. We've then got triple Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. We're playing 4 Kaijus. Should you play this, it's actually a very, very nice kind of bait out for your Trigate. Not to mention that if you do break the Trigate lot of a Kaiju and then play this to get rid of that Kaiju, clear up their board, give you a Kaiju as well, you can then use the Kaiju on your opponent's side of the field to go into a fusion material using Super Poly as well. Very, very cool card. If it does get sent to the graveyard as well, and you're able to maintain a board presence, your opponent, let's say, brings back Sleeper, you can then Kaiju it as well next turn, because most people actually forget about Interrupted Slider in the graveyard as well. We'll then play a lot of one-offs. We've got the 1 El Shaddolls Fusion for your quick play with Aerial as well. Now, 9 out of 10, you want to be going into the brand new card, Aquiline. Now, going into that, not only negates a card, but sending the Aerial will banish free from the graveyard as well. Foolish Burial, because you want to send all of your cards. Avarice, because you do send a lot. In the grind game, you do need a card that's going to be able to bring you back the advantage. And that's not a bad thing. Sending your Shaddolls monsters to the graveyard, as long as you're not playing the Banish variant, shuffling them back in and drawing 2 is always going to be a nice little plus. And then finally, we've got the 1 Instant Fusion. If you want to, you can put Millennium Eyes, Thousand Eyes in the extra deck. I might consider dropping this or bumping it up, depending on which direction I want to go with the deck. But the idea behind this is you can go straight into a window that can stun your opponent for a little bit should they want to try and go off, and it does give you an instant Shaddolls monster should, on the worst case scenario, you brick a little bit. But 9 out of 10, knowing my luck, I'll see Instant Fusion a lot more than any of my doubles Shaddolls monsters as well. So that's why Instant Fusion is in the deck. You can, like I said, take it out. And the best thing about this main deck is, apart from the Draw and Lock birds, which are probably a little bit more expensive than they should be, the deck itself is actually mainly from the structure decks. Kaiju shouldn't be too hard to get hold of. Super Poly's already there for you, and most of it is there pre-built, so you're not far off of getting a very, very powerful and competitive Shaddolls deck. The only thing you're going to need is go first cards, and that's where like Artifact Lancer comes in there. They're going to be 1s, Rivalry, stuff like that. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start off with the Link monsters and then go into the Fusion monsters, which Shaddolls are more readily known for. Now, from the extra deck, we of course got the 1 Cloth Heap. Now, 9 out of 10, you're going to be using the effect of when it's a monster is fusion summoned to a zone it points to. You get to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from the graveyard. Very, very nice extender as well. Very, very good to do that. We've then got the 1 IP. Now, this is a bit of money. You can take it out should you wish. It is not a necessity. It's literally just there as another form of disruption to your opponent to be able to go into IP, then Phoenix if you need it to, or of course Unicorn, and then finishing it up with your boss monster of Avramax. Now, Avramax can again be swapped out for Borrow Sword or Borrow Load, depending on where you want to go with the deck. Like I said, it's quite easy to get into a Borrow Sword, but what we want to do is we want to break our opponent's first board, do a little bit of damage, which is why arguably Shaddolls aren't going to OTK, or this version isn't going to plan to OTK. Arguably you could play an evenly matched or main deck, a Dark Ruler no more, but I would advise siding them in more so, purely so they're not dead cards against any other heavy back row or heavy kind of decks that don't flood the board. That's where Avramax comes in, because he's a more powerful defensive monster in my opinion than Borrow Load and Borrow Sword, and then being able to use it off of IP Masquerena gives it a very, very powerful and nice protection on top of it. Moving on to the Shaddolls monsters, we are playing double of the brand new El Shaddolls Aquiline. Now again, this can be taken down to 1 should you wish. This is more of a defensive play. This is more of if you're going first, or being able to stun your opponent during their turn. It is, if this card is special summoned, you target 1 face-up card on the field and negate its effects. So being able to summon this quick turn on your opponent's turn can actually really, really cause them issues and disrupt them massively, which is beautiful. And it requires 2 Shaddolls monsters, so it's not as effective with the Super Poly targets, but it still gives you enough to play around with, cause your opponent a bit of a headache, and cause them something that they don't know enough about to go, oh, what is that card? What does it do? Wait, it does that? Oh, okay. Then, of course, we've got 2 Winder. I love this new artwork. It's probably my best artwork of the new ones out of that construct. This is part of your stun play as well. You want to do this as one of your last fusion summons. Winder being able to not be destroyed by card effects, and then the fact that your opponent can only special summon once and you can only special summon once gives you the control back. By getting rid of Winder during your turn, whether you use it as link material or if you use it as fusion material as well, it gives you the ability to control your opponent's board state. We've then got double Shekanaga, bit of a beast. We've got enough earth monsters, we've got the Kaijus as well. This is a nice 3k defender. If at any point in Master Rules 4 or 5, you get 2 of these on wild, you can actually go into Gustav Max for like a nice 2k damage during time or win you the game. We've then got 2 Constructs. Again, really, really like this artwork. I would have loved, I'll tell you what I would have loved, if this was a 2-part artwork. So if this had one side was Construct facing this way and the other one was Winder facing the other way with the same kind of thing, like that would have looked sick. Construct is at free by all means. This is probably one of the only ones that I would put at free. Incredibly powerful card. Love to have it back. It took it long enough. I think its prime is past itself. I don't think it's as good as it once was, but it's still an incredibly powerful card for your opponent to try and deal with. And then finished off the one-offs, we've got the 1 Anontilis, because why not? And the 1 Gorista, because again, why not? Both very, very good cards in their right, and I love, I'm going to move this over here just so you can, oh, hello, just so you can try and see it in the light, and I hope the light catches the foil. There you go, perfect. Winder's in the background. Hello. Yes, so Grista is a nice defensive player as well, so you've got a nice balance of offensive with your Construct and Shekanaga, and Shekanaga is also defensive as well. And then you've got your defensive with, of course, your Winder and your Grista to put out on your board should your opponent need to as well. And that's kind of how you want to break and then lock and stun your opponent with Shaddolls. And like I said, the extra deck cost of Avramax and IP can be reduced. You do not have to play those cards. Another Cloth Eep will do just as fine for the IP, and a Boral Sword will be just as fine for the Avramax. So I would not worry about those at all. That being said, that is the profile. I hope you like this. I hope it gave you a couple of ideas on your own build. Like I said, I tried to go for a more unique build, a bit more right-wing, rather than all the invoked versions that are going around right now. I'm not saying invoked versions are bad. They're actually very, very good. And they'll only get better in Master Rules, purely because you're able to go, alright, cool. I'm going to be able to put a Mech Carver here. I'm going to put a Construct there. And I'm also going to end up my board with a Winder. Break that, bro. But yeah, love Shaddolls. I actually put a poll out online, so I hope you guys have seen it. And I basically said, you guys vote for what I play at locals this weekend. Shaddolls are currently leading the way with 42% last time I checked. And I'm actually looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to play this deck. I might change it up. If I change it up, I will, of course, profile it for you guys as well. And I'll show you the side deck. Because right now, this being the brand new structure, is very, very good. There's a lot of nice reprints in this set, on this structure deck, sorry. And it's looking like a very, very fun competitive build. So I'm looking forward to playing Shaddolls again. And it's only going to get better in Master Rules. So I would advise picking up your Shaddoll cards while you can, as it is a nice all-in-one reprint set or structure deck. And then we're going to get more support in the future as well. So hopefully we get more than just that trap. Anyway, hope you like this. If you do have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Happy dueling, guys.